Researchers just discovered you can permanently corrupt any AI model, doesn't matter if it's small or massive, with just 250 malicious documents hidden in its training data. 250 out of billions. And here's another terrifying number. If Google's AI has even a 1% error rate, that's 80 billion wrong answers every single year. 80 billion pieces of misinformation being delivered as fact. Meanwhile, there's a humanoid robot that's supposed to fold your laundry, backed by $1 billion from Jeff Bezos at NVIDIA, and the CEO just admitted on camera that it keeps dropping everything. Welcome to 2025, where AI is simultaneously more powerful and more vulnerable than we thought. Hey everyone, welcome back to Artificial Fluency Technology. The new State of AI report just dropped, and it paints a picture of an industry that's entering what they're calling the industrial age of AI. But alongside all the progress, we're discovering some genuinely scary vulnerabilities that nobody has solutions for yet. Today, I'm going to walk you through what's actually happening in AI and robotics, the good, the bad, and the honestly concerning. And I'm going to be real with you about what's hype versus what's genuinely important. Let's start with the security flaw that should terrify anyone relying on AI systems, because this one is both counterintuitive and extremely practical for attackers. Anthropic, working with the UK AI Safety Institute and the Alan Turing Institute, just published a study on data poisoning attacks. They tested 4 different model sizes, from 600 million to 13 billion parameters, to see how many malicious documents you'd need to corrupt them. The assumption going in was that bigger models would be more resistant to corruption because they're trained on so much data that a few bad documents would get diluted. That assumption was completely wrong. Here's what they found. Just 250 malicious documents can permanently corrupt any model regardless of size. They tested with 100, 250, and 500 corrupted documents, and 250 was the sweet spot where the attack consistently worked. Let me put that in perspective. These models are trained on billions of documents. Finding and inserting 250 specific documents into a training dataset is absolutely doable for a sophisticated attacker. You don't need to compromise millions of documents, just a couple hundred strategically placed ones. And permanently corrupt means exactly what it sounds like. Once the model is trained with these poisoned documents, the behavior change is baked in. You can't patch it without completely retraining the model from scratch, which costs millions of dollars and takes weeks or months. The malicious documents contained trigger phrases, specific words that would cause the model to either produce nonsensical output or leak information. In a real attack, you could design these triggers to activate in specific contexts, like when the model is being used for financial transactions or medical advice. My honest take is, this is an unsolved problem that the entire AI industry is just hoping doesn't get exploited at scale. Because the defense is incredibly hard. How do you verify the integrity of billions of training documents? And if you can't, how do you trust any model trained on internet data? Now let's talk about why AI accuracy matters more than ever, using Google as the example. Google processes approximately 8 trillion searches per year. As they shift more of these searches to AI-powered results instead of traditional blue links, the potential for errors becomes massive. Let's do the math. If the AI has even a 1% error rate, which actually sounds pretty good for a complex system, that's 80 billion incorrect results per year. 80 billion times someone asks a question and gets confidently delivered misinformation. And here's the thing about AI errors. They're not obviously wrong. When a search engine gives you bad results, you can usually tell because the links don't match what you're looking for. But when an AI gives you a confident, well-written answer that's completely wrong, you might not notice until you've already acted on that information. This is the hallucination problem at planetary scale. And it gets worse when you consider that people trust AI-generated answers more than traditional search results because they look authoritative. The solution everyone talks about is make the AI say, "I don't know," when it's uncertain. But in practice, getting AI models to accurately assess their own uncertainty is an unsolved research problem. They don't actually know when they're making stuff up. Despite these problems, AI adoption is accelerating faster than anyone predicted. The State of AI Report 2025 shows we're entering what they call the AI industrial age. Here are the numbers that matter. Over half of Fortune 500 companies have implemented AI.
In the US, 44% of companies now use paid AI tools. That's up from just 5% in 2023. That's almost a 9x increase in 2 years. They surveyed 1,200 AI practitioners, and 95% use AI at work or home. 76% pay for these tools with their own money, which tells you people find them genuinely useful, not just corporate mandated. And this isn't just about chatbots anymore. AI is becoming a scientific collaborator, a partner in research, not just a tool. Examples include Stanford's virtual lab can independently generate hypotheses and run experiments. DeepMind's work with AlphaFold just won a Nobel Prize in chemistry. Geoffrey Hinton won a Nobel Prize in physics for his AI contributions. This is the shift from AI as software to AI as infrastructure. It's becoming as fundamental as electricity or the internet. You don't think about whether to use it, it's just built into everything. But here's my concern. We're industrializing a technology that still has fundamental unsolved problems. The data poisoning vulnerability, the hallucination issue, the inability to explain decisions, these aren't bugs that will be fixed in the next patch. They're architectural challenges that might require completely rethinking how we build AI systems. Speaking of infrastructure, Microsoft and NVIDIA just built a supercomputer specifically for OpenAI's next-generation models. And the specs are absurd. Over 4,600 NVIDIA Blackwell Ultra GPUs, the newest, most powerful AI processors available. The entire system is liquid-cooled because it generates so much heat. Custom software, redesigned memory architecture, everything optimized for what they're calling agentic AI. Models that can reason and take actions over extended periods. Microsoft is deploying hundreds of thousands of these GPUs. And that's not a typo. Hundreds of thousands of the most advanced AI chips in the world, all dedicated to training and running OpenAI's models. The scale of investment here is staggering. We're talking billions of dollars in hardware alone, not counting the electricity, cooling, maintenance, and the armies of engineers needed to run these systems. And here's the geopolitical angle. The report notes that the US is making AI a national priority, Europe is struggling with its AI Act, creating regulatory friction, and China is leading in open-source models while advancing domestic chip production despite US sanctions. This is an arms race, and the weapons are measured in gigawatts and GPU counts. Now let's talk about Figure 03, the humanoid robot that's supposed to bring us into the era of domestic robotics. And I appreciate this story because the CEO is actually being honest about its limitations. Figure 03 is designed for mass production and home use. It can fold laundry, load dishwashers, clear tables, water plants, all the tedious household tasks people hate. It's covered in soft, washable fabric instead of metal, making it 9% lighter and safer for homes. It has fingertip sensors that can detect forces as light as 3 grams. The AI system called Helix learns tasks by watching videos. They trained it to fold a towel using just 80 hours of video data. That's impressive. It suggests the robot could potentially learn new tasks quickly once it's in your home. The company raised $1 billion at a $39 billion valuation. Investors include NVIDIA, Jeff Bezos, OpenAI, and Microsoft. Time magazine named it one of the best inventions of 2025 and put it on the cover. So this should be the big success story, right? Except CEO Brett Adcock admitted to Time that during their demonstration, the robot repeatedly dropped the laundry. He says they hope to have it ready for homes by 2026, but it's not there yet. And I actually respect this honesty, because the hype around humanoid robots has been enormous, and most companies won't admit when their demos don't work reliably. The reality is that folding laundry is incredibly difficult for robots. It requires fine motor control, understanding fabric physics, and adapting to different clothing types. Humans learn this as children, and it seems easy, but it's one of the hardest tasks in robotics. My prediction? Figure 03 won't be ready for consumer homes in 2026. Maybe 2027 or 2028 for early adopters willing to deal with bugs, and 2030 for mainstream adoption. And even then, it'll probably be limited to specific, well-defined tasks in controlled environments. While we're waiting for household robots, corporate AI is advancing rapidly. Amazon and Google both launched enterprise AI agent platforms this year.
Amazon QuickSight costs $20 to $40 per month per user. Google Gemini Enterprise is $30 per month. These are AI agents designed to work within corporate systems, handling tasks like data analysis, report generation, and workflow automation. The fact that these are priced as monthly subscriptions rather than one-time purchases tells you this is becoming infrastructure, not software. You don't buy AI capability anymore. You rent it, just like you rent cloud storage or computing power. Before we talk about what all this means for the next few years, if you're finding this honest breakdown of AI developments helpful, the good and the concerning, don't forget to hit that like button, drop a comment with your biggest concern about AI security or adoption, and subscribe to the channel for more analysis that doesn't shy away from the hard questions.
So let's zoom out and talk about what these developments actually mean. We're in this weird moment where AI is simultaneously more powerful than ever, industrial adoption, scientific collaborations, massive infrastructure, more vulnerable than we realized, data poisoning attacks work on any size model, more error-prone at scale than we can afford, 80 billion potential mistakes per year, more hyped than the reality can support, robots that drop laundry on magazine covers. The State of AI report is calling this the year of reasoning and the AI industrial age. And in some ways, that's accurate. The technology is being integrated into fundamental business processes and scientific research. But we're industrializing before we've solved the safety and reliability problems. It's like we're building nuclear power plants before we figured out how to properly contain radiation. The data poisoning vulnerability is especially concerning because it's a practical attack that's hard to defend against. And unlike software vulnerabilities that can be patched, this one requires completely retraining models, which is prohibitively expensive for most organizations. The scale problem with Google's 80 billion potential errors highlights that we can't just accept 99% accuracy when the volume is this massive. At this scale, even a 0.1% error rate would be 8 billion mistakes per year. The report's geopolitical observations are worth noting. The U.S. is treating AI as a national priority, investing massively in infrastructure and trying to maintain its lead in frontier models. Europe's AI Act is creating regulatory friction that might slow adoption compared to the U.S. and China. The Act has good intentions around safety and ethics, but there's a real risk that European companies fall behind while Chinese and American companies move faster. And China is a genuine competitor now. Their open-source models like DeepSeek and QN are impressive. They're making progress on domestic chip production despite sanctions, and they have the advantage of centralized decision-making that can direct massive resources quickly. This isn't a race the U.S. is guaranteed to win, and unlike previous tech races, AI capability might translate directly into economic and military advantage in ways that are hard to reverse once someone takes a decisive lead.
I want to close with a quote from Pierluigi Collina, the legendary football referee, because it captures the right relationship between humans and technology. He was asked if he would have used VAR, video assistant referee technology, during his career. He said yes, not because he didn't trust his judgment, but because technology can eliminate lingering doubt and augment human capability. He also warned that technology shouldn't foster laziness. It should enhance diligent work and meticulous preparation. This is the philosophy we should apply to AI. Use it to augment human judgment, not replace it. Use it to eliminate doubt and enable better decisions, not to abdicate responsibility. The problem is that corporate incentives push toward complete automation, not augmentation. It's cheaper to replace a human entirely than to build systems that enhance human capability. Based on everything in this briefing, here's what I think happens over the next 2-3 years. We'll see at least one major data poisoning attack on a widely used AI model. It might be a proof of concept by researchers, or it might be a real attack by malicious actors. Either way, it'll force the industry to take this vulnerability seriously. Google and other search companies will struggle with the accuracy problem. We'll see high-profile cases of AI giving catastrophically wrong information, leading to lawsuits and regulatory pressure. Figure 03 and similar home robots will continue to improve, but won't achieve mainstream adoption in the time frame companies are promising.
2026 is too optimistic. 2028, 2030 is more realistic for reliable home assistance. The infrastructure race will intensify. More gigawatt-scale data centers, more competition for GPUs, more energy constraints. Whoever can build and power these systems at scale will have a decisive advantage. And geopolitically, the US-China AI competition will be the defining tech rivalry of the decade. Europe will struggle to keep pace unless it figures out how to balance regulation with innovation.
Look, I don't want to be alarmist, but I also don't want to pretend everything is fine. The AI industry is moving incredibly fast. 44% of US companies adopting paid AI tools in 2 years is insane growth. But we're discovering fundamental vulnerabilities, like the data poisoning attack, and we don't have good solutions yet. We're deploying AI at a scale where even small error rates produce billions of mistakes. And we're hyping technologies like home robots that aren't ready for the promised timelines. The State of AI report is right that we're entering an industrial age for AI. But every industrial revolution brought both progress and problems. Pollution, labor displacement, safety disasters. The AI industrial revolution will be no different. The question is whether we can solve the safety and reliability problems fast enough to keep pace with adoption. And right now, I'm not confident we can. What do you think? Are you more concerned about the data poisoning vulnerability or the scale of potential errors? Do you think home robots like Figure 03 will actually be in homes by 2026, or is that unrealistic? Let me know in the comments below. If this honest assessment of where AI really stands helped you see beyond the hype, consider subscribing for more analysis that doesn't sugarcoat the challenges we're facing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.